5150 came out. I didn't know it came out. And I knew what Jump was, and I heard Panama, but just I wasn't at that maturity, not even maturity level. I just wasn't ready for Van Halen yet. I was 12 when 1984 came out. I was at my desk. I've told this story before on the podcast. 1986, February-ish. I'm doing homework in my bedroom, and I heard this knocking on the door. I got up, no one was there. I sat back down, and that's when I heard the keyboard intro to Why Can't This Be Love? The knocking was that knocking part, that intro.
Oh, yeah.
There was something about that. It hit me in the chest. It grabbed me, and I fell in love with that very instant. And I took in every little thing about 5150. I must have listened to that album hundreds of times then. Now it's thousands. But and then after that, I went back and listened to the whole other catalog.
Right. Stuff, right.
Yeah. And I got into that. And it was funny. I had like the Fair Warning summer. And, that's when I had my first job cutting grass. And that's what I listened to on my Sony Walkman. And then the other ones. And I stole my aunt's Van Halen 2 LP and fell in love with that. And it just became I heard, and I forgot who it was, but they described Van Halen as a verb. Like, we're going to go Van Halen tonight. It kind of summarized a vibe, how you were feeling, what you were going to do, a lifestyle, that kind of thing.
Right. We're going to get the tape in the tape deck, find somebody who has a 12-pack of warm Budweiser and go try to meet some girls.
And just
whatever, right.
Drawing that logo on your book, your book cover at school and having it in your life. That was like a badge of honor of some sort. It was just like a club that we were all in. I didn't get to see 5150. My parents wouldn't let me. I saw Monsters Rock after that. But the one thing, what did Eddie mean to you on a personal level? You've talked a lot about Roth, and we'll get into that. Right. But what did Eddie mean to you?
Well, he was the guy who really made me want to play guitar. Now I got into the whole, like all those guys, Lynch and DeMartini and whatever. Again, I never could play anything like those guys, but just like whatever. Like I could play half of Lay It Down or some the rhythm part. And it was like, oh, I'm great. I was like, here we go. We're on our way. Yeah. But for him, he is as the guy who wrote all those songs, the music for all the songs that I loved, and was always the guy who seemed to be pushing. It was like being a fan of like Michael Jordan or something like that. It's like you never, it was nice. I'm a Jets fan. So I've had basically 50 years of misery as a Jets.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, of course, right? You should be. It's been it's been pretty a bit of fan since '81, and they've never been to a Super Bowl. Blah blah blah. But something like that. If you're a fan of Van Halen, really up to arguably up to Van Halen 3, it was like Van Halen always won. You know what I mean? It was like they won the Super Bowl. It was like every album went platinum. Every tour was great. It was it was, and that's not why I became a fan, obviously. But it was it was like this guy could do no wrong. Changes singers, and it's still more of the same good stuff. So it was sort of like that same sort of admiration for the the Aaron Rodgers factor. It's like he's the guy who everyone thinks he's gonna suck this year. This new thing's gonna they're gonna get Sammy Hagar and it's gonna suck. And it's like, well, you may artistically think it sucks, but it didn't suck on Billboard. It didn't.
We're going to talk about that,
right? So that was kind of a an appeal to me that it was like he was he delivered, right? He delivered great stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. As a musician, it's funny when I look back at the progression of what got me ready for 5150. My sisters introduced me. I got in trouble in kindergarten for singing "Come On Baby, Light My Fire." You made a Doors reference earlier. I got in trouble for singing that to all the girls in class just because I have two older sisters. And
that's funny.
And then I got into Survivor, and everyone dumps on Survivor. They were actually a really good rock band. My
wife's a huge Survivor fan, by the way. My wife's a huge Survivor fan.
Yeah. And then, again, something to talk about. Survivor, AC/DC, and Van Halen really are the biggest bands that switched singers and actually, you could argue, became, I'll just say took it to another level. But interesting. But then my first concert was Bryan Adams.
Great one.
And then I got into, playing guitar when I was around 83, 84. But then again, hearing Van Halen, it just was like, okay, all that brought me to this moment right here.
Right.
And it just changed my world.